There are many patients that I've had over the years that I still think about quite frequently, but there's one that I'll never forget. This was years ago. This is a patient, he saw me every 3 to 4 months or so for his blood pressure, cholesterol, normal, usual stuff, right? Lab work, med refills, things like that. And I was seeing him on this particular day for his routine follow-up, just like normal. And I remember I was asking him some question about his medications. I think I asked him in what room of the house does he store his medications or something. We were talking about him taking his medications and the timing or something like that. And he was kind of quiet when I asked him that question. And I was probably scribbling and writing. That was before electronic medical records. And I remember I looked up and he said, Doc, he said, I don't have a home. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't store them in a home. I don't have a home. He said, I'm homeless. I live in my car. And I was shocked. I was shocked because I hadn't known. I thought, I'm his family physician. I see him every 3 to 4 months. There was a sense of guilt that, first of all, I felt like I should have known. This is a major life issue. This affects someone's health, their life, their livelihood, everything. And I felt bad and guilty that I didn't know that this was his life circumstance. I also felt other ways too, not only sort of guilty and bad, but I also then felt this amazing and sort of huge sense of awe and wonderment that my patient, who has been living in his car for some extended period of time, has still found a way to come see me, his doctor, every 3 to 4 months. And so many questions just ran through my mind. I started asking things. How are you paying your copays? Do you have help? Have you reached out to places? All of a sudden my mind changed from his blood pressure, which was well controlled, by the way, to literally everything else. How are you doing? How are you functioning? How are you living? And that's what our visit became about. I got him into social services, got him in with our social worker. We talked about ways to make his medical care a bit easier on him. Now that I knew he was living out of his car, there were some things I could do to try to make it easier for him to get to appointments and appointment times and things of that nature. But I think there was something else that really, really amazed me, which I mentioned before, which is his tenacity. In addition to feeling bad because I felt like I should have known this. I should have been helping him. I should have been on it. I also felt this sense of awe. Now, of course, I did everything I could to help him. I mentioned the social worker and things like that. And that was back in the days when pharmaceutical reps would bring lunches and stuff to the office. Those days are long gone. But they would bring lunches and stuff to the office and they would bring them in the back. And oftentimes on days that he had his appointment, I would either send my medical student or I would run to the back and package up a whole bunch of things before the staff and the other doctors we got in there to eat. And I would put him aside, water bottles and things like that. And when he would come in for his visit, I'd pack him up with all his food and I'd send him out the back door so nobody would see. I did they were small things. It's not big, but I did anything I could to help him. But what's really amazing is him. The point of this story is really him. And it really taught me a lot about tenacity and what amazing things can happen when we put our mind to something. Somehow this man who was living in his car and who didn't have a home found a way to make it to his doctor's office visits, found a way to take his medications. And I'm sure it wasn't easy, but he found a way. And I've always remembered that and always been inspired by it. And I remember even sitting there that day looking at him in the eye in disbelief and sadness, and my heart going out to him was also kind of like it was more than even being impressed. It was wow, you're amazing. And I think that's a lesson for us all, isn't it? This idea of there are going to be hard things in life. There are going to be bad days. There are going to be bad times. Look, we're going through a rough patch right now. But if this story about my patient is any indication, with some tenacity, we can get through this time that we're in right now. And whatever it is we're dealing with in our personal lives, I can't promise things will end a certain way or what have you, but I know that we're strong. And I know that when we put our minds to things, it's amazing what can happen. So to this patient who, I hadn't seen in over 10 years or so, my hat's off to him. He taught me a lot about making things happen even when situations are not ideal. And I'm hoping that we use that as a guide as we go through this time with COVID. This situation is not ideal, but you know what? We can put on our big girl panties and our big boy briefs and get to work. We can wear our masks. We can hunker down, not travel, not visit people for the holidays because it could spread COVID, not be in groups, not do the things that we know are problems. We can do that because we are tenacious and we're pretty strong. And I learned some of that from this patient who, despite living in his car, found a way to make it to his doctor's appointments, found a way to take his medications, to get his labs done, and to do a lot of things. And I give him a lot of credit. So anyway, guys, I hope that's helpful. So guys, I'm trying something different and I want you to tell me what you think about it. You're my peeps, so I know you'll tell me. I'm doing a kitchen series where every now and then I stop by my kitchen, grab a cup of something, water, coffee. Well, I don't drink coffee, tea, hot chocolate. You know I drink hot chocolate. And chat with you about things I've learned from my patients, things I've learned from medicine, from being a doctor, in hopes that it inspires you the way often these stories have inspired me. So let me know what you think. Let me know what we need to do here, if you like it, if you don't like it. But I hope this was helpful, guys. You hang in there. We'll get through this, as I always say. I'm Dr. Jen, and I'll see you soon.